Mr. President, I move that we consider the budget of the Commission on Elections and recognize the sponsor and chairperson of the Subcommittee I of the Committee on Finance, Senator Amy R. Marcos, for opening statement, and later to interpellate the Honorable Senator Nancy Binay, the next to interpellate, Mr. President. I move that may be recognized.
Before acting on the motion, Chair would like to announce that we will be taking in seriatim the Marcos committees, so to speak. So after COMELEC, we will take up the Credit Information Corporation, the National Irrigation Administration, Climate Change Commission, National Commission for Senior Citizens, and the Philippine Competition Commission, in that order. Is there any objection to the motion of the Majority Floor Leader? There being none, the distinguished sponsor of the budget of the Commission on Elections is recognized for her opening statement, and thereafter, the lady from Makati may proceed with their interjections.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Today I sponsor the proposed...
Mike?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Majority Leader. Today I sponsor the proposed 2025 budget of the Commission on Elections. Under 2025 National Expenditure Program, the NEP, COMELEC's proposed budget of 35.47 billion is 4.912 billion lower than the Commission's previous 2024 budget of 40.103 billion. The decrease is mainly due to the reduction in the operations under the regular program and the preparatory national and local elections. It's mainly due, therefore, to the cost of leasing of the new machines in 2024. Amounting to 23.9 billion, as well as the infamous 12 billion under the Chacha and plebiscite concerns. So, therefore, the General House of Representatives, GAB, and the Senate Committee report retained the 35.47 billion budget proposed in the NEP. And that's the preliminary, I believe, to that.
Senator Binay is recognized for her interjections. You may proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Magandang tanghali po sa ating lahat. Mr. President, can we just get data kung ilan po ba yung mga bagong rehistro for the 2025 election?
Yes. Thank you very much, Senator Binay. Regarding the city of Makati, ang bagong rehistro ay 18,555 sa 2 distrito ng Makati.
Mr. President, unahin muna natin po yung buong Pilipinas kung ano new registrants for 2025 election.
Sa buong kapulungan, nasa 68 million na po tayo. Nadagdagan na.
Okay. And then, yung mga nag-reactivate naman po.
Total na yan. Yung 68, yung reactivated, registered.
Million, transferees, new registrants, and reactivated.
That's right. And yung 2022, nasa 66 million.
Okay. But for just transferees, meron ho ba tayong data?
Right now, it's not disaggregated.
Okay.
But we can get that.
Siguro, Mr. President, maybe we can flash the screen because I have the data for Makati.
So do we. We have the data for
Okay.
Makati,
So
but
can we get the
national
data?
is not
Can we get
disaggregated.
the
I'm
data
sorry.
for Makati?
Yes, the data for Makati is fairly clear because the questions arose during the exclusion effort. And sa Makati, yung bagong rehistro ay 18,555 sa 2 distrito. Pero yung transfer mula sa ibang syudad, ibang munisipyo, nasa 38,031. Kaya kung idadagdag yung dalawa, yung bago at saka transfer, nasa 56,586.
Yeah. Yung 38,031 pang District 1 and District 2 na po ba siya, Mr. President?
Yes, total ng 2 distrito.
And base ho sa experience ng COMELEC, I guess based on their historical data, yung numero ho ba na ito ay posible na nabawasan ng 10 barangay ang Makati pero nadagdagan ng 38,031 transferees?
Yes, sang-ayon ng COMELEC na very unusual kasi nga nabawasan ng 10 barangay, ngunit 57,000 halos ang nadagdag na botante.
Yes, Mr. President. And I guess bilang bahagi ng mandato ho ng COMELEC, meron ho ba silang action na gagawin para ho talagang masiguro na malinis ang ating voter list for 2025 election?
Yes, sa ngayon, ang pagkaalam natin, may nag-file na ng exclusion ng new registrants at transferees at nakapending na sa Municipal Trial Court. Sa bahagi naman ng COMELEC, nagbuo ng task force for the alleged increase in registrants in both districts 1 and 2 ng Makati. At yung task force, ang sinasaad is to review the inclusion of barangay certification. Kasi nga, parang nagdududa sila, lahat sila may hawak na barangay certification bigla at baka hindi na ito tatanggapin sa susunod. It may no longer be considered proof of identity and it may be excluded in the future conduct of voter registration. Ikalawa, nagre-recommend ang COMELEC ng bagong batas to prohibit the use of barangay certificates issued by punong barangays kasi may bahid o may suspecha ng politika o pandaragdag. Ikatlo, ire-refer din sa DILG for a fact-finding investigation as to the issuance by punong barangays of these certifications found by ERB not to be representative of the true residents of the names already put down as applicants.
Yes. So, Mr. President, ang ibig sabihin ho ba nito on parang ang COMELEC mismo ang pwedeng maglinis ng listahan? Kasi di ba may proseso tayo to exclude voters from the list, whether it's through opposition or through exclusion. But yung exclusion nga ho, dadaan pa siya sa korte. Ang COMELEC ho ba ay may kapangyarihan para linisin yung voters list?
Yes, unfortunately, ang COMELEC ay hindi pwede mag-exclude. Kinakailangan manggaling sa korte, kinakailangan ng court order. But as mentioned, the above recommendations, yung tatlo na hindi nagagamitin yung barangay certification, etc. at dadalhin pa sa DILG para mag-imbestiga, ito ang magagawa ng COMELEC para sa mga hinaharap.
So ang COMELEC ho ay magiging complainant din against dun sa mga barangay captains na nag-issue ng barangay certification na alam naman nila na talagang hindi residente ng mga barangay na yon.
Yes, malamang maging complainant na rin ang COMELEC pagkat ang recommendations nitong task force tungkol sa Makati have been adopted by the Commission on Bank already.
Yung ganito ho bang sitwasyon ay sa Makati lang or nangyayari din ho siya sa ibang parte sa ating bansa?
May bali-balita sa ibang lugar eh. Kaya't narinig na rin natin sa Cabanatuan sa Nueva Ecija, may balitang ganito rin sa CDO, sa Misamis, at ganon din sa Tawi-Tawi na mukhang dumami ng labis ang mga botante. Kaya kinakailangan tignan talaga ng COMELEC itong mga pangyayari.
And maybe through legislation, talagang maalis na itong paggamit ng barangay certification as proof of residence. And hopefully, the chairperson of the committee, which is headed by Senator Amy, would hear itong ganitong bill para maging batas na siya.
Yes, tama po. The COMELEC and Bank will review the inclusion of barangay certifications as well as heed the court order that may be derived from the MTC,
Yes.
where the exclusion orders are already pending. Certainly, your Committee on Electoral Reform and People's Participation will be eager to investigate and hear the new laws or bills that will be filed.
Okay, maraming Maraming salamat po, Mr. President, and we fully support the budget of COMELEC, and dalangin po natin na sa 2025 election ay talagang maging malinis ang eleksyon natin. Muli po, maraming salamat.
We thank the distinguished lady from Makati. Majority Floor Leader.
President, the minority leader. President, the deputy minority leader is seeking the floor. I move that she be recognized.
Senator Antiveros is recognized for her interjections.
Salamat Abi, Mr. President, at magandang hapon, good sponsor. At sa kay Chair Garcia at sa buong COMELEC family. Una po, good sponsor, Mr. President, tungkol sa project budget received by St. Timothy. With respect to the COMELEC's full automation system with transparency audit count of fast track project, magkano po sa said project's 18 billion peso budget ang na-disburse doon sa winning joint venture na binubuo ng Miru Systems Company Limited, Integrated Computer Systems, Centerpoint Solutions Technology Inc. o Centerpoint, at formerly St. Timothy Construction Corporation. Good sponsor.
Sa ngayon, wala pang nagagastos, pero yung kahalagahan ng buong kontrata, the value of the contract is 17.88 billion.
Opo, 17.88B. So ang na-disburse na sa winning JV ay zero. Good sponsor. Tama po ba yon?
Asan yung updated?
Or may na-disburse na po sa winning JV?
I think there's a correction pala. Nasa 5% nung halaga ng kontrata na na-disburse na.
So, kung 17.88B, ang na-disburse po ay mga 850M na? More or less, good sponsor?
Yes, I think that would be the right arithmetic po.
Okay po. Salamat, good sponsor. And of these disbursements, 850 million pesos, magkano ang natanggap ng St. Timothy alinsunod sa kanilang JVA o JV agreement, good sponsor?
Yes, the understanding is that St. Timothy had only 2% of the overall participation. So 2% lang po nung sinasabing mga halaga.
So ang premise po ba natin dito, good sponsor, ay mga 2% din lang ng 850 million pesos na na-disburse so far ay natanggap nila?
Hindi alam ng COMELEC kasi internal arrangement between the partners na siguro yon.
All right. May paraan po bang malaman mula sa JV partners magkano sa 850 million pesos ang natanggap ng St. Timothy? Good sponsor.
Maaari pong tanungin pero nalaman naman natin na nag-pull out na yung St. Timothy Construction ngayon sa JV na sinasaad at iba na yung mga members nito. At ang alam natin, yung mga lokal na, yung STCC, ICSI, Centerpoint Solutions, at yung Miro na ang magpa-partner. Wala na yung St. Timothy.
Tama po kayo, good sponsor. Nag-pull out na ang St. Timothy at bahagi po ito sa itinatanong ko. I am asking because this fiasco threatens to make a mockery of the electoral process. I'd like to confirm this with the COMELEC, good sponsor. Ang beneficial owners po ba ng St. Timothy either tumatakbo bilang kandidato o konektado sa isang party list kaugnay ng 2025 national and local elections, good sponsor?
Whereas the SEC registration has no mention of the family Diskaya, it's well known that they are public works contractors and have several saintly contracting companies. So the notion that they are perhaps the beneficial or even the stated owners is very clear. This is perhaps the reason for the pull-out of St. Timothy.
And batay sa SEC registration ngayon or nung nakaraan, even recently, isa sa mga saintly contracting companies ng pamilyang ito ay yung St. Timothy po, good sponsor.
Yes, ang pagkaalam ko, St. Timothy is one of that group, and we had a hearing specifically on that subject.
Opo, good sponsor. Naalala ko po yun. At ito po bang pamilya ay may miyembro sila na tatakbo ngayon bilang kandidato o konektado ngayon sa isang party list? Good
Oo,
sponsor.
alam natin na pumila yung Miss Sara Diskaya bilang mayor ng Pasig City, Metro Manila.
Alright, salamat, good sponsor. At meron din ba silang isa pang miyembro ng pamilya na konektado sa isang party list?
Hindi ko lang maalala yung pangalan ng asawa niya. Subalit tatakbo rin bilang vice mayor ng Pasig sa pagkaalam ko.
Okay, so
Number 2 party list, sorry.
yun po. Number 2 nominee ng isang party list. Alright, salamat, good sponsor. So, paano po tayo makakasiguro na yung posibleng, no, pending yung pag-alam natin sa mga JV partners, paano po tayo makakasiguro na yung bilyong pisong posibleng natanggap ng mga totoong may-ari ng St. Timothy's mula sa COMELEC dahil lang nagwagayway sila ng isang pirasong papel ay hindi gagamitin para pondohan yung electoral campaign nila, good sponsor. At hindi ba conflict of interest yon kung kahit kapiraso ng budget ng COMELEC ay gagamitin sa layunin ng isang partisan political campaign, good sponsor?
Ang maliwanag ay nagbigay ng NFCC or Net Financial Contracting Capacity. Mula nung nag-pull out yung St. Timothy, yung ibang mga partners nagbigay naman ng Net Financial Contracting Capacity ng labis-labis 19,254 million mahigit, which is significantly greater than the contract price, and this will therefore more than adequately fill up the void of the St. Timothy's pull-out. Maliwanag naman na St. Timothy walang pakialam sa technical at iba pang bagay, kundi nasa financial lang sila kasi hindi nga ma-produce ng Koreano yung net financial contracting capacity. So yung St. Timothy ang sumaklolo at nagbigay nung NFCC.
Salamat, good sponsor. Pati sa pagbanggit sa NFCC dahil itatanong ko po yun sa susunod kong paksa. So huling tanong dito sa project budget na natanggap ng St. Timothy. And talking still about conflict of interest, paano tayo makasisiguro din na yung St. Timothy at yung mga may-ari ng St. Timothy ay wala ng impluensya sa mga dati nilang JV partners sa layunin na manipulahin yung eleksyon pabor sa kanila, good sponsor?
Okay, dalawang bagay to. No? Unang-una nabanggit na 2% lang naman yung kanilang participation despite the fact that they provided the NFCC. Ikalawa, the COMELEC and Bank has already tasked its law department under Minute Resolution 2478 na imbestigahan any potential civil, criminal, or administrative liabilities related to this conflict of interest or other alleged violations of election law. And the Anbank is awaiting the investigation's results and will pursue all available remedies as necessary.
Maraming salamat para dyan, good sponsor. Ano po ulit yung bilang ng minute resolution ng COMELEC and Bank?
Yes, it's Minute Resolution 24-0787.
24-0787. At mga kailan po lalabas yung investigation report, good sponsor?
Well, inaasahan na lalabas sa lalong madaling panahon dahil bawal talaga makipag-communicate ang kandidato sa supplier. So this COMELEC resolution will only underline that prohibition.
Yes, salamat, good sponsor.
President, with the indulgence of my dear colleague, can I just
Yes, Mr.
interject
President.
just one question on this particular issue?
It's with the permission of Senator Ontiveros. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This representation is actually interested in the line of questioning being propounded by our Deputy Minority Leader because it is indeed concerning, Mr. President. I would just like to know, just one question that I'd like to pose. Mr. President, was the company, this company that was involved in before its withdrawal from the joint venture, had an access to voter information? And if yes, has this access been revoked as well, Mr. President?
It should be understood that this was bidded out quite early. No final list of voters was at that point available even to the COMELEC itself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, dear colleague. Thank you.
Senator Ontiveros may proceed with their interjections.
Salamat, Mr. President, at salamat sa good gentleman from Bulacan. Sige po, isa pang follow-up question dun sa unang pagsako. So bakit po nila isinama pa ang St. Timothy? Ang COMELEC po ba gumawa ng due diligence considering na actually blacklisted na yung St. Timothy? Saintly man na company pero Saintly Contracting Company, pero blacklisted po actually, good sponsor.
Yes, we took that up during the hearing. As it turns out, it's St. Gerard, a sister company that was blacklisted by DPWH, and not St. Timothy, which has no black mark in its record. St. Gerard, as a matter of fact, had also lapsed in its registration with the construction or organization. Kaya yung St. Timothy, maayos ang papeles at wala naman nakita yung COMELEC na maaring ipagbawal sila.
Salamat, good sponsor. St. Gerard man ang blacklisted ng DPWH. Pero in the exercise of that due diligence na itinanong ko, malalaman ng kahit sino man, lalo na ng COMELEC, isang constitutional body natin, na ang board of directors o officers ng St. Gerard ay pareho lang, o ng St. Timothy ay pareho lang sa St. Gerard, at pati nga po address, good sponsor ng St. Timothy ay pareho lang sa St. Gerard. For the record, good sponsor.
Tama po kayo, pareho yung address, pero dun sa SEC papers, hindi magkaparehong eksakto. May isa, dalawang pangalan magkakapareho sa iba't ibang kumpanya, pero hindi naman maaring sabihin na iisa sila.
Well, alam naman natin kung gaano ka-creative pwedeng maging ang dalawang magkaiba di umanong entities para pagmukhain na magkakaiba sila. Pero actually, magkakapareho. If not verbatim, kumbaga, then indefinitely in spirit. Dako po ako, Mr. President, dun sa legal status ng joint venture. On this point po, good sponsor, alam kaya ng COMELEC ano eksakto ang inambag ng St. Timothy doon sa JV? Alam po natin na sila nga nag-provide nung net financial contracting capacity, pero sa aktual, nag-advance ba sila ng pondo, nag-advance ba ng resources sa proyekto, or ang pinrovide lang po nila ay simpleng piraso ng papel? Alam ko rin po, gaya ng sinabi ng good sponsor, yung natitirang JV partners ay nagsumite ng substitute NFCC. Pero ba't di nila ito na lang ang ginawa in the first place, good sponsor?
Well, unang-una, may naibigay sa COMELEC na agreement between the partners in the joint venture, and clearly in the agreement, as mentioned earlier, 2% lang ang iaambag ng St. Timothy. Ikalawa, wala naman kasing down payment. Nagawa yung mga makina na walang down payment, kaya wala pang ambag-ambag, kumbaga. So, hindi pa klaro kung ano ang partisipasyon nila, laban sa dun sa 2% na sinasabi sa kanilang agreement?
So, 2% plus yung all-important NFCC na papel ang patak ng St. Timothy sa JV sa proyektong ito.
Tama
So,
po yun. Yung 2%, tapos yung NFCC, kasi agad-agad sila nakaprovide noon, samantalang yung ibang partners, kasi tinatanong ko rin kung kaya pala ninyo maglabas ng halos 20 billion, ba't hindi ninyo linabas ka agad-agad? Hindi pa daw sila handa noon, kailangan na mag-bid para sa COMELEC very late in the day na raw, para mag-ipon ng ganong kalaking halaga-agaran. Kaya napasok itong St. Timothy dahil handang-handa sila pumasok na may dalang NFCC ganong kalaki.
salamat, good sponsor. I still wonder though na dahil nga yung sinabi rin ng good sponsor nakapaglabas ng substitute NFCC na higit pa ang halaga, higit 1 bilyong pang dagdag dun sa original na halaga ng NFCC ng St. Timothy. So meron silang nung una 2%, tapos yung original na NFCC, baka meron pa silang ibang mahalagang patak sa JV. Kasi with this said, so far, paano rin natin nasisigurado na hindi lang ito kaso ng pagpapahiram ng credentials sa layunin na pagpapayag sa ibang otherwise unqualified entities na lumahok sa public bidding na iyan, good sponsor?
Natagalan rin kasi yung ibang local partners. Natagalan sila higit 1 taon bago sila nakapag-ambag-ambag ng halagang 20 billion. So yun ang dahilan na binigay nila kung kaya't nakisuyo sila sa St. Timothy na pumasok muna na dala-dala yung NFCC nila.
Kaya ako natanong po yung pagpapahiram ng credentials sa mga otherwise unqualified entities dahil dahil hindi ito magiging unang pagkakataon na ginawa ito at maaring nung at least isa sa mga entities na pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, good sponsor. According sa legal status pa rin ng JV. According to the Government Procurement Policy Board Resolution number 06-2019, Filipino ownership or interest shall be based on the contribution of each of the members of the joint venture as specified in the JVA. So, with the withdrawal of the JV partner which originally provided the NFCC, paano natin masisigurado na yung JV ay nananatiling at least 60% Filipino, gaya ng required ng applicable procurement rules, good sponsor?
Yes, hindi nagbabago yung hatian ng mga dayuhan na 40% ang Miru, samantalang mga Pilipino ay nasa 60% dahil yung ICSI took over the original obligation of STCC at makikita na wala naman karagdagang partisipasyon na binili o added equity or additional responsibility dun sa Miru na dayuhan. So we are confident that we maintain the 40-60 split as required by the Constitution.
At good sponsor, ang ICS ay Filipino, foreign, or mixed corporation, good sponsor?
100% Filipino yung ICSI according to the registration.
Okay, so napag-uusapan natin yung may isang aspeto pa, good sponsor. Ang commission po ba, nalinaw nila yung status ng JV mismo? Some commentators are of the opinion that because the withdrawal of a JV partner leads to the dissolution of the JV, COMELEC is now dealing with a non-existent entity, while the legal personality of the JV continues for the purpose of winding down. Thus, ang pagpo-provide ba ng mga serbisyo kaugnay ng palapit na national elections, talaga bang sakop yan ng definisyon ng winding down? Nang karaniwan, nagre-refer ang winding down sa cessation of business, good sponsor.
Kung Kung pag-uusapan ay winding down, tama na bahagi yun ng winding down. But under the fast track contract and the JV, it's very clear that the partners are jointly and severally liable, solidarily liable for all the obligations, so that the partners can still bind the partnership after the dissolution for purposes of winding up partnership affairs or completing transactions. So tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang pagkakaisa nila, and the withdrawal of STCC of St. Timothy does not in any way relieve the remaining partners of their obligations. And COMELEC can go after the JV as if nothing had changed, because the JV is a separate entity to which the various partners are jointly and severally liable in any case.
Pero good sponsor, okay, napalitan po yung NFCC ng isang NFCC na mas mahalaga pa, mas mataas pa ang halaga. Pero yung original na JV na kausap ng COMELEC, hindi na siya ito. Kasi umalis na yung isa, bagamat 2% lang, di umano ang patak niya, bagamat yung NFCC niya na orig ay napalitan ng bagong NFCC na mas mataas ang halaga, pero yung orig na JV, nakakontrata ng COMELEC, hindi na siya ito kasi nawala na yung isang entity. And usually po, ang kwento ng mga kaibigan ko kahit sa private sector, kapag na-dissolve ang isang joint venture, nagwa-wind down na siya para magsara na. Napipinto po tayo sa isang eleksyon, hindi po to winding down. Gearing up po ito. And as we were discussing earlier, good sponsor, to make sure the entity we are contracting with actually exists, yung mga natitira pong JV partners, nag-execute po ba sila ng bagong JV agreement, good sponsor? At pwede po bang humingi ng kopya nitong agreement, pati kopya po ng substitute NFCC na isinumite sa COMELEC pagkatapos ng alleged withdrawal ng St. Timothy's, good sponsor?
No need po, Senator Ontiveros, pagkat hindi naman nag-wind down yung kumpanya eh. So, hindi kinailangan ng bagong kontrata. The previous contract with between COMELEC and the partners and the partnership holds. Ang partnership ay hiwalay, di ba? Sa ating bagong civil code, the partners still bind or can still bind the partnership regardless of the withdrawal of one of the partners. So it's very, very clear that a new contract wasn't necessary. The other partners would just bolt in and perform in accordance with the contract still.
I'm very surprised, good sponsor, na hindi po nag-execute ng bagong JV agreement. Titingnan kaagad ng staff ko yung pertinent provisions ng civil code, pero parang sa common sense lamang, labas pa sa legal expertise ng ating mga commissioners at ng chair, it would seem na ang kontrata sa COMELEC at isang JV na ito yung mga miyembro kasama ang St. Timothy, pag umatras yung St. Timothy, gaano man kalaki o kaliit ang patak niya dun sa JV na yon, hindi na yon. Yung original na JV na kausap ng commission.
Yes.
Good sponsor.
The contract is already perfected, and the contract is actually between COMELEC and the partnership, not between COMELEC and the individual partners. And as a result, the Commission determined na hindi na kailangan ng panibagong kontrata, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang bisa at obligasyon sa ilalim ng dating kontrata. Ang tanging nagbago lamang isang partner nag-withdraw. Pero lahat ng iba pang partner ay mananagot pa rin sa kanilang katungkulan at sa kanilang pangako sa COMELEC.
I think that's still arguable, good sponsor. But for now, pwede bang at least humingi ng kopya ng substitute NFCC?
I think it would be clear to most lawyers that if you execute a brand new joint venture contract, there would be a novation or a complete change in the contract, which would require everything to begin from the very beginning, annul and nullify everything that has happened, and likely delay the entire procedure of the election.
Siyempre, walang gustong mag-delay ng eleksyon, pero ayaw din natin na yung mga issue na mula sa simula ay malalabo at in fairness sa atin sa Senado good sponsor ay tinatanong na natin ay hindi po nare-resolba ng maayos, kundi nadadagdagan pa nga ng ilang mga issue na malalabo.
Kinikilala po ng batas ang partnership bilang legal entity. Hindi kinakailangan na mangontrata ang COMELEC sa bawat isa, kundi dun sa partnership. Nananatili naman yung partnership bilang legal entity, kaya hindi na kinailangan na magkaroon ng bagong kontrata. Kahit isang partner nawala, andun pa naman yung iba pang mga partner at tuloy-tuloy ang bisa at obligasyon sa ilalim ng kontratang napirmahan.
Good sponsor, so pwede po bang humingi ng kopya ng substitute NFCC?
Yes, I think it's a public record. It should be available on the website, but certainly we will provide the good senator.
Salamat, good sponsor. Doon naman sa paksang does withdrawal constitute default? Sa tingin po ba ng COMELEC, kino-consider nila ang pag-atras ng St. Timothy na paglabag sa agreement na ipinasok nito sa Miru-led JV o some kind of default sa panig ng JV, good sponsor?
I don't think it can be considered a default. There's no requirement that the partnership will only be in existence if all the partners persist in performing the contract. The partnership is separate and it continues to have that contract with COMELEC. Wala pong pagbabago.
Yun na nga po yung pinagdedebatihan ng iba't ibang commentator, good sponsor. Kaya sinusubukan kong i-explore pa sa good sponsor sa ngayon. And on this point,
I think
Yes, Mr.
it's very
President.
clear that a partnership is a separate and discrete legal entity, and the partners are jointly and severally liable for all the obligations, so that if a single partner withdraws, the impact on the partnership is nil unless they determine to wind it up, which did not occur. Clearly, under our new civil code, partners will continue to bind the partnership even after the dissolution of said partnership. In this case, wala naman dissolution, umatras lang yung isang sosyo nila.
actually, nadjo-join yung issues, good sponsor. Kasi ang information ko, paano natin i-resolve ito? In the rules of partnership, in the civil code, withdrawal of a partner dissolves the partnership, good sponsor. So paano natin ibabangga ito dun sa sinasabi ng COMELEC at good sponsor, Mr. President?
Before the lady.
I think,
Yes, Mr. President.
I think it's clear that the remaining partners acknowledged and willingly assumed the responsibility of their withdrawing partner, St. Timothy Construction. And it's very apparent and explicitly written in their addendum to their JVA that followed. Sorry, I think, Mr. President, you wanted to
Yes,
interject.
with the permission of the lady, I think there is
Yes,
clearly
Mr.
a difference in opinion, and I believe that the good sponsor is merely echoing the position of COMELEC in this regard.
Yes.
Legally, unless there is a court order striking down that particular interpretation of COMELEC as it proceeds with the contract, that legal proposition would stand. And the difference in opinion notwithstanding, that would be the legal situation that we are in right now. Yes,
Yes.
the lady may proceed.
Yes, if I
Thank
may
you, Mr.
add,
President.
Mr. President and
Yes, Mr.
Senator
President.
Ontiveros, the truth is there is a pending case assailing this joint venture and the partnership involved in the Supreme Court. But until today, as stated by the Senate President, there has been no TRO or other action from the court. Hence, the partnership as it stands shall be upheld and be liable for all its obligations to COMELEC.
Salamat, good sponsor. And I suppose and I hope that the ruling of the court will really clarify this issue. Ideally, in timely fashion, ano po, para walang cloud of pangamba at pagdududa as we go into a very essential exercise with the participation of this JV in partnership with the COMELEC. I would hope na it would also, that ruling would also clarify na though the remaining JV partners, as the good sponsor said, acknowledge and assume the responsibilities ng St. Timothy, if that would be sufficient to counter what I have put into the record about my information about the civil code, if it would be sufficient to counter that and lay to rest this debate. Pwede rin po bang humingi ng kopya ng addendum to the JV? Good
Yes,
sponsor.
certainly.
Salamat, good sponsor. And pulid dito sa withdrawal at whether it constitutes default. On this point, ano naman po yung status ng surety agreement na isinumite ng mga original parties sa JV, good sponsor?
As is po, yung surety agreement and all other provisions of the contract, they remain intact. There's no change in the contract or in the parties involved, including the partnership.
Salamat, good sponsor. Balik ako para sa ilan pang mga tanong kaugnay ng due diligence. One other thing, kailan po na-award yung fast track contract sa Miru? Good sponsor.
I believe it was around March 2024, early this year, first quarter lang po.
March 2024. Do you remember the date, good sponsor? The day rather, good sponsor. And actually, ang information
March
ko po sa
20.
Inquirer was
March
February 21.
March 2024.
March 20. Meron po akong news article, newsinfo.inquirer.net, COMELEC awards vote counting machine contract to Miru Systems. Ang dito sa artikulong ito, in-award
Yes.
ang fast track contract sa Miru noong February 21, 2024.
Yes, I think we're all aware that the bidding and award process is a long one. And quite rightly, Senator Ontiveros, it was February 22 na award yung kontrata sa Miru, pero March 20 na post for public viewing yung panalo nila.
And this is a problem, good sponsor. Kasi yung original Miru JV agreement states that the JV itself was only formed on March 1, 2024. So, paano po nakalahok ang Miru JV sa bidding para sa proyekto in the first place? Paano na-award yung contract February 22? Eh yung JV mismo na-form lang March 1. Good sponsor.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. President.
just a short
Yes,
interjection.
Senator. I believe the allegation that the JV was only constituted in March 1 is one of the charges in the Supreme Court case, but to date, there has been no evidence to the same, and the Commission sees no reason to overturn what they have already determined to be a legitimate award.
Actually, before the good majority leader interjects, I do have a piece of evidence from the COMELEC website itself, comelec.gov.ph, procurement projects, SBAC 012023 Fast Track second bidding. I can give the good sponsor the whole address online, pero dun sa COMELEC document na ito, electronic document, nakalagay na the JV was formed on March 1, good sponsor. Yes, Mr. President.
The lady may answer before the interjection of the majority floor leader.
Yes,
The record would be clear.
yes, may I simply say that bidding started already delayed because of a very detailed overhauling of the terms of reference in November of 2023. In December, it was already out in public, and that February, there was in fact an initial failure of bidding in 2023, as I recall, at the end of the year. Thereafter, a second bidding was conducted, during which February 22 ang award.
Yes, good sponsor. And,
Yes, the majority leader
yes,
is
Mr.
recognized
President.
for his interjection, with the permission, of course,
Thank you,
of
Mr. President.
Senators Ontiveros and Marcos.
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to give the proper historical backdrop on this, Mr. President, whether, and to spread this into the records, whether the contract was awarded February or March of 2024 would not in any way trigger the application of Republic Act 12009, which this Congress approved and which was passed into law July of 2024, considering that all new laws would have a prospective application. And I'm now referring, Mr. President, just to spread this into the records, to the new Government Procurement Act, which specifically mentions for the first time a joint venture agreement. So, Mr. President, considering that RA 12009 would have a prospective application, and to insert this into the records, the effect of the same relative to JV agreements would not in any way affect a contract or contracts executed prior to the application or approval or passage of the said law. Just for the record, Mr. President.
Duly noted, Majority Floor Leader. The Deputy
Yes.
Minority Floor Leader may proceed with their interjections.
Yes.
Salamat,
I
Mr.
may
President
add-
and good majority leader. Yes,
Sorry.
good sponsor.
If I may add, with all due respect to our majority leader, the new Procurement Act was signed around July. Perhaps it wasn't applicable to the failed bidding in December and the second bidding that occurred in February. But what is very clearly contained in the terms of reference for the contract, and this is the legal basis, is that the bidders could present a potential JV during the bidding. And once awarded, the formal JV will be submitted. That's the only requirement contained in the terms of reference. And this is not unfamiliar or unusual in very large government contracts.
Salamat, good sponsor. So, balikan ko po yung tanong kanina, keeping in mind yung inputs ng majority leader at ng good sponsor. Paano mangyayari na yung fast track contract na award sa Miru, ayon sa Inquirer.net, noong February 22, 2024, pero yung JV mismo na di umano inawardan noong February 22 ay nabuo lang, according to the COMELEC website documents, nabuo lamang a week later, March 1, 2024.
Tama.
Good sponsor.
Tama po. Pero ganun pa man, kung totoo man yun, ang requirement lang kasi sa terms of reference, as I said, was the potential JV, the possibility of a partnership being formed. And once they were awarded the contract, only then would a formal JV agreement be submitted. As stated earlier, kung minsan kasi ganyan talaga yung malalaking kontrata, mag-aambag-ambag yung iba't ibang mga sosyo, tapos magpapalit ng sosyo. Kaya't pag na-award na yung kontrata, tsaka na lang rine-require na talagang maliwanag kung sino talaga ang mga sosyo.
Good sponsor. Paano lalahok sa bidding yung para sa proyekto in the first place, ang isang Miru JV, kung potential JV lang siya at that point in time. Totoong COMELEC ang kausap nila, hindi potential COMELEC lang. Paano mag-a-award ng contract sa isang JV na potential pa lang, hindi pa natin sigurado kung talagang magbubuo sila, may NFCC sila, may track record silang mapagkakatiwalaan at hindi dubious, hindi nagpapahiram ng credentials nila sa unqualified entities. Kaharap ng isang constitutional body na magpapatakbo ng isang napaka-importanting proseso. Hindi po rin maipaliwanag yung baliktad yung sequence of events at yung qualification ng other party at the table across COMELEC para ma-awardan ng kontratang yan on that date. Good sponsor.
If I may read from the standard DBM GPPB requirements for standard documents for bidding, it's consistent with the terms of reference. It's very clear. Either a duly signed JV should be presented or, and this is where the argument enters, duly notarized statements from all potential joint venture partners stating they will enter into and abide by the provisions of the JVA in the instance that the bid is successful. So klaro na talagang ibibigay lang yung formal na JVA pag nanalo na sila. Pagkatapos maliwanag pa rito, may attachment pa per Annex F of Section 9 bidding forms. So may klarong bidding form siya na binibigay para rito at ito ay nakasaad sa GPPB ng ating DBM maliban pa dun sa terms of reference ng ating komisyon.
At good sponsor, ang bawat isang miyembro ng nooy potential JV nun ay nag-submit nitong duly notarized statements.
Oo.
Good sponsor.
Nagbigay rin sila ng mga statement nila, bawat isa. Pagkatapos, masasabi rin natin na this whole principle is actually consistent with Section 23I of RA 9184. So talagang ginagawa to, lalong-lalo na sa malalaking kontrata.
Sorry, good sponsor. Paki-refresh yung memory ng representasyong ito. Ano ba yung Section 23 na iyon ng RA?
Yes, this is contained in Section 23.1 of RA 9184 in addition to the GPPB as well as the TOR. It's a commonly held principle in our law.
Perhaps, Mr. President, the good sponsor is referring to Section 23.6.2 IRR-A ng RA 9184 on the eligibility for procurement requirements.
From the rules po.
I believe it's
This is the
Section
one good sponsor.
23
Yes.
dash 1 in the IRR of RA 9184, not 23.6, it's 23.1.
All right.
Where it's very clear what the standard bidding document should look like.
In addition to that, good sponsor, dun naman sa Section 23-6 IRRs of the same law, meron pong eligibility for procurement. Requires, ano ba po? Requires?
Opo ka.
What can you read it?
As program requires as part of class.
Okay, eligibility for procurement requirements, good sponsor, as part of Class B documents. A valid JV agreement.
How do we reconcile?
Yes, allow us to review 23-6 as I don't recall it offhand.
They don't need, they only afterwards. Here, this one has before.
All right, good sponsor. I apologize for the
I
slight
think,
delay. I will
at this
clarify
point-
my question.
No, it's perfectly consistent that the procuring entity has the right to review the qualifications, and it did not appear that there were reasonable grounds to suspect that any misrepresentation had been made by the parties of the joint venture.
Well, good sponsor, hindi pa natin pinag-uusapan yung representation, yung compliance
Kaya
po sa
po,
requirements.
ang commission, sa palagay nila, wala naman dahilan na magduda. Kasi maliwanag naman yung mga kumpanya, mga IT companies, at Koreano at Pilipino.
Pero baka nga, good sponsor, ay dapat nagduda ng kahit konti, kahit sandali ang COMELEC dito sa, hindi lang St. Timothy, pero yung JV kung saan siya bahagi. Dahil dun nga po sa Section 23.6 ng RA 9184, part ng eligibility for procurement requires, as part of Class B documents, a valid, not potential, a valid JV agreement. So paano natin ito i-reconcile sa TOR ng COMELEC, good sponsor?
Yes, I think there is nothing to reconcile. Both provisions are consistent. The eligibility to the TWG of the COMELEC was unanimous in voting, and no reasonable cause to investigate, doubt, or go beyond the information already provided by the potential partners was found. So there was no reasonable cause to suspect that these bidders should be disqualified or rendered ineligible.
Hindi ko pa rin makita, good sponsor, paano natin i-reconcile ito. Kasi may section nga sa RA 9184, ang requirement ay valid, hindi
I think
potential.
they are quite
Valid JV agreement, good sponsor, at hindi potential JV ang pinag-uusapan. Baka hindi nasunod ng eksakto ang provision na ito or section na ito, good sponsor.
So I think the COMELEC, under strict review of the Senate and your committee, was fully aware that we would pay attention to every detail. At nasunod talaga yung 23.1, yung 23.6, na kung tutuusin, hindi naman magkontra eh. Talaga naman, yung isa, tungkol sa mga bidding forms at saka yung dokumento. Yung ikalawa, yung 23.6, may kinalaman naman sa eligibility. Higit sa lahat, makikita natin na matapos yung kontrata, yung COA found that everything was regular and did not have to go any further into investigation and audit.
Of course, good sponsor, with all due respect to the COMELEC and the COA, it still stands na yung text nitong Section 23.6 speaks about a valid JV agreement and only a valid JV agreement, hindi valid JV agreement or potential JV tulad sa TOR ng COMELEC. So that issue, at least for this representation, will have to stand in this afternoon's interpellation na unresolved. And in fact, a good sponsor, if you're not eligible, paano ka pwedeng even magbid in the first place, Mr. President?
I think that in fact there was no suspicion of any misrepresentation. There was no doubt about the qualifications and other requirements of the various bidders. Hence, the procuring entity, in this case, the Commission on Elections, did not find that it had to undertake any kind of investigation or that there was in fact reasonable ground or reasonable cause to disqualify the bidders.
Baka nga, good sponsor, hindi pa investigation pero dagdag pang due diligence dun sa mga parties na makakaharap sa isang JV para sa ganitong kaimportanteng proyekto. So good sponsor, Mr. President, dako na muna ako
I
dun
think,
sa... Yes, Mr. President.
In the reading of this IRR, 23.6 speaks of eligibility. We should really look at 23.1, which explicitly governs JVs. So, maliwanag dyan that the duly notarized statements from all potential joint venture partners should be included in the bid and that they will be used in the event that the bid is in fact successful and the award is granted. So, maliwanag talaga na ito yung Class B document na sinasaad sa IRR.
Yes, Mr. President, good sponsor. Class B documents din po ang tinatalakay sa 23.6 requiring requiring only a valid JV agreement. Baka kaya sumunod siya sa 23.1 kasi kung yung 23.1 tungkol sa JVs, 23.6 further speaks only about a valid JV agreement and not a potential JV.
It's possible that we also look in the same 23.1 being disputed. Paragraph 3 is also quite clear that each and every partner of the potential JV will submit the respective PhilJEPS certification in accordance with the IRR, so that the submission of the technical and financial capacity would derive from each and every one of the JV partners. So maliwanag na hiwa-hiwala yung pag-submit nila pero tatanggapin naman ng procuring entity kapag buo at kumpleto.
And good sponsor, nakapag-submit ba yung bawat partner ng PhilJEPS certification nila?
Yes, oo. Kompleto naman yung kanilang mga PhilJEPS at iba pang dokumentong kinakailangan.
Alright, salamat good sponsor. Dako naman po ako dun sa testing of new voting machines. Because we will be using what some commentators consider to be a prototype in the upcoming elections. At kung prototype, hindi po ito alinsunod sa ating batas. Ito'y paglabag sa batas. Yung mga makina po bang yan na ililis natin, adequately po bang na-test yung mga yon, good sponsor?
Yes, the commission hesitates and must refrain from giving comment on what is sub judice, given that there's a petition filed by a former Congressman Egay Erice with the Supreme Court, already docketed. And nevertheless, they have volunteered that, in fact, they are presently testing and they've adopted a very rigid technical evaluation mechanism in compliance with the AES. And part of that testing actually occurred after the Senate committee's hearing regarding the same topic of a prototype as opposed to a system.
And have there been any reassuring findings emerging from the testing about prototype lamang ba itong system na ito? Has it been tested in anywhere else in the Philippines or anywhere else in the world in any other election, good sponsor?
Yes, we were all very impressed by the brand new machines, even though we were told that while the machines that were brought to the Senate were brand new, it was an old system that had been used many times in Korea, which is the nationality, of course, of Miru. At na-impress naman kami kasi lahat touchscreen, ang bilis-bilis, parang ang dali-dali bumoto. Kaya't natuwa naman kami kasi parang lalabas yung resulta kaagad-agad.
Alin pong system yung nagamit na sa Korea, good sponsor?
Yes, we are combining the touchscreen OMR system that's used in South Korea and the shading system, the DRE that we're familiar with here in the Philippines. So we are hopeful that we actually have double the security provided.
So, good sponsor, yung OMR system, nagamit na nga sa Korea.
Yes,
Pero-
paulit-ulit na po.
Yes.
Ganon din yung shading na DRE ng Pilipinas.
Yes, subukan na natin ng DRE dito sa Pilipinas. Pero yung kombinasyon ng OMR at DRE, nagamit na rin po ba ito sa Korea or nagamit na po ba ito sa kahit alin pang ibang bansa? Good sponsor.
Actually, we're going to be utilizing only one system at a time. Locally, in the Philippines, we'll be using the DRE, which is a familiar system. I'm sorry. We're going to be using within the Philippines the OMR, the touchscreen system, locally here in the Philippines, which is the shading. And overseas, in the 17 different posts that will be allowing internet voting, we will not be using OMR or the internet voting.
DRE po sa overseas, good sponsor.
Yes, that's correct.
So, hindi, ibig sabihin, kombinasyon yung system, OMR at DRE, pero yung OMR lamang ang gagamitin locally, samantala yung DRE ang gagamitin overseas.
Yes, tama po yun. Kasi ang pinag-usapan, dapat isang sistema lang that's been well tested precisely as you mentioned, that it should not be a brand new untested system. So we're going to be using the long-standing system of the OMR, and only overseas where there is no internet voting will the DRE be utilized.
So yung kombinasyon, kahit yung kalahati lang ng system ay gagamitin dito at yung isang kalahati ay gagamitin overseas, yung kombinasyon ng OMR at DRE, never before in the world used.
Hindi
Sponsor.
pagkahalo yung OMR at DRE. Naka-off yung DRE dito sa Pilipinas, hindi yan gagamitin at all. Solid OMR as usual. Pero dun sa ibang bansa, yung DRE naman ang gagamitin, yung OMR nakapatay naman. Para isa lang na sistema, hindi yung halo-halo at hindi yung sabihin natin na bagong kombinasyon na hindi pa nagagamit noon.
Gayunpaman, good sponsor, yung system as such, yung subject ng JV, ay sistema na combined OMR at DRE. Kahit na parang sa switch, may dalawang switch. Dito sa session hall, isang switch lang ang bubuksan natin para sa isang klaseng ilaw. Sa mga opisina natin, yung pangalawang switch ang gagamitin para sa ibang klaseng ilaw. Pero yung sistema pa rin ay kombinasyon ng dalawang klaseng sistema, OMR at saka DRE. Good sponsor.
I think it would be more accurate to say that they are not actually combined. Both options are just available in the machines. Individually, each has been tested. Kumbaga sa ilaw, regular electric supply, pero kapag na brown out, tsaka lang gagamitin yung genset.
So, di ba, kung ganun, good sponsor, bakit hindi na lang OMR machines ang pinrocure or ililease para dito sa Pilipinas, DRE machines para sa ibang bansa? Dahil kung sa iisang kaha, may dalawang sistema, pero i-activate yung isa o yung isa, depende sa switch na bubuksan, combination system talaga siya. OMR at DRE, good sponsor, na hindi pa nagagamit dito sa Pilipinas or malamang sa ibang bansa sa mundo, good sponsor.
Eto kasi ang nangyari na yung mga machines both have, each of the machines have both systems, but they will not be turned on jointly and combined in some confusing or sinister way. Instead, ang nangyari, na pareho kasi ang presyo ng DRE at OMR. Sa totoo lang, yung DRE na gamit na rin sa Maguindanao noong 2008, mas advanced sana yung DRE kasi maganda nga yung touchscreen. Kaso nga lang, abala yung COMELEC sa dinami-dami ng ating botante, baka mag-bog down o mahirapan. Kaya yung OMR na pareho sana ang presyo, mas low-tech, yun na lang ang gagamitin sa lokal pagkat napakarami ng botante natin.
Mr. President, good sponsor, hindi pa rin
If,
ako masettle na hindi talaga ito
If I
prototype.
may explain further,
sponsor.
the DRE system seemed ideal for overseas voting because it would eliminate the deployment of more personnel and the printing costs for these 17 posts abroad. So the DRE was seen to be the more practical option. Doon lang sa 17 posts. Otherwise, lahat ay babagsak sa OMR para makasigurado tayo.
So sana pala, good sponsor, nag-lease na lang tayo ng 17 DRE machines at the rest, kung ilang libo, ililiis natin na OMR. Baka lumabas pang mas mura. Kesa may karamihan tayo ng mga combined OMR DRE machines na hindi naman gagamitin dito sa local precincts natin. Siyempre,
think
kung bumili
the-
tayo ng ref, mas mura yon kesa bumili tayo ng ref combined with freezer, good sponsor, to use a very low-tech parallel or example.
I think the question never arose because all the machines contained both DRE and OMR. There was no additional cost for having two options. Parang dual SIM sa ating cellphone. Pag bumili ka ng cellphone ngayon, talagang dual SIM kahit gagamitin mo, isang SIM card lang.
Well, now, how can we know na good sponsor na hindi naging mas mura kung mas maraming OMR ang ililis, then 17 ang DRE na ililis? In fact, I don't think it's been adequately explained why this contract is so expensive. Considering po, ililis lang po natin yung mga makina, di naman natin sila bibilihin outright, at yung lease ay para sa isang election cycle lamang, good sponsor.
If truth be told, the prices have been brought down, the individual machines costing 149,000 at kung tutuusin, nakatipid ang COMELEC ng malaking halaga, ang halaga ng 800 million. Malaking tipid to kahit dalawa ang option ng DRE at OMR.
Gayunpaman, good sponsor, sa iisang eleksyon lamang, lease lamang, ito 18-19 billion ang gagastusin natin kumpara sa ano ba yun, yung kombinasyon ng lahat ng mga eleksyon in the past 1.5 decades, around 21 or 22 billion pesos. So proportionately, talagang ang laki nito. At yung mga yon ay mga biniling mga makina. And yet proportionately,
Palagay
mas
ko
mura.
kailangan tignan ng isa-isa at himayin yung kontrata kasi nakabundle po, pati yung printing ng balota, nakabundle siya sa makina, nakabundle pati sa ballot box. Lahat yan dinala rito sa Senado pinakita nila at iisang kontrata kaya nga mukhang malaking malaki pero napakaraming sangkap niyan.
Just for kung pwedeng i-indulge ako ng good sponsor, just in case sa halip na lease, magkano kung ibinili natin iyon, Mr. President?
Pag binili, 155,000, ang binayaran natin nasa 15 billion. So malaking tinipid, isa. Ikalawa, nagbabago kasi ang teknolohiya kaya nakita natin sa experience natin sa Smartmatic, kada eleksyon nalalaos, nabubulok yung dating makina. Kaya hindi magandang bibili, mas maganda yung na-updated at nagde-deliver ng bago yung supplier.
So mahal talaga itong mga makina, good sponsor. Kasi kung sa halip ay binili natin, magkakahalagang 15 billion pesos or a little less than 60% nung kabuoang 22 billion na ginastos natin sa pagbili rin sa nakaraang 1.5 dekada. So more or less 60% for one election, what we had spent for the past 1.5 decades of elections here in the Philippines. So mahal talaga yung makina, nililis man natin ngayon or kung sakaling ibinili natin.
Yun ang
yes,
atin
Mr.
dating
President.
pag-iisip, ano, na bakit uupa samantalang pwede nang bilhin, atin na yon, hindi na problema. Pero nakita natin sa ating karanasan sa Smartmatic at sa mga dating makina, meron pang warehousing, meron pang repair and refurbishment. Pagkatapos, ang bilis mabulok dahil alam naman natin kada 3 taon, napakabago na naman ng teknolohiya, nagbago na sa 6 na buwan. So, bulok na talaga at hindi na magamit yung mga nabili natin. Kaya, ang pakiwari ng ating komisyon, imbes na bibili, mangupa na lang. Tapos wala ka pang gasto sa warehousing, sa bodega, sa refurbishing, sa repair, sa tao. Tapos, updated pa yung teknolohiya ninyo. Hindi kayo na-stock up dun sa luma.
Ayun, good sponsor. Speaking of one of the points you mentioned, during the COMELEC budget briefing, we requested documents related to the current status and alleged unserviceability of the vote counting machines used in the previous elections. Na-provide na po ba ng COMELEC ang komite anong mga dokumentong iyon?
Yes, I think all that was provided, and a report was actually given as well regarding the old VCMs that are still under warranty.
So under warranty pa pala sila, good sponsor. Bakit hindi natin in-exhaust yung warranty? Pina-repair o refurbish ang mga ito? Posibleng alinsunod din sa mga COA guidelines na itinanong ko rin nung nakaraang budget hearing tungkol sa paano talagang i-dispose of yung mga previously procured government equipment, good sponsor.
As a matter of fact, the allegation that they were still under warranty was wrong. Firstly, the warranty was a very limited warranty to parts and service only for 3 subsequent elections. Nag-expire na yung warranty in effect 2024, samantalang election natin 2025. So, yun ang problema at dineklara ng unserviceable yung ating mga VCM. Kaya't sinabi na ng commission sa kanilang isa pang minute resolution na yung mga machines have already fully reached their economic useful life and are thus unserviceable.
Perhaps finally, good sponsor, the electorate might not be familiar with the way these new machines operate. Nakapag-allocate na ba tayo ng sapat na pondo para sa voter education?
Yes, I think a nationwide and comprehensive roadshow is going to be conducted by the COMELEC for voters' education beginning in a few days, December 2 until January 30, to make certain that voters are familiar with the new system.
And may sapat na pondo pa na para sa roadshows na yon, good sponsor?
Nakabudget naman po.
Alright, good sponsor. Pa-follow up na lamang po bago tayo umabot sa period of amendments at pag-finalize ng ating budget para sa susunod na taon nung mga hininging dokumento ng representasyong ito during this interpellation. Isasubmit ko na rin po sa office ng good sponsor ang listahang ito. Yes, Mr.
I am
President.
assured by the committee secretary of electoral reform and people's participation of your committee that they were forwarded to your office as requested.
Natanggap na po namin just this afternoon, good sponsor. Kaya sayang hindi ko na scan man lamang bago ang ating interpelasyon. Pero I'll do so before the period of amendments. Nagyaman na, good sponsor. Salamat
Sorry,
kayo,
I
Mr.
wasn't,
President.
I wasn't aware that they were only sent today.
Salamat, good sponsor.
Thank you, Senator Ontiveros.
Sa chair at sa commission.
What is the pleasure of our Senate President Pro Tem?
The Senate President Pro Tempore is seeing the floor to
Interpolate, Mr. President.
ask
Really?
a single question or 2 questions, Mr. President.
Really?
Local
Senate
questions.
President Pro Tem, Senator Estrada is recognized. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I think this is parochial in nature with regard to our city in San Juan, regard to the flying voters. I'll just give you a data, brief data. In 2016, national local elections, we have a registered voters of 71,225. In 2019, national local elections, it increased to 16.50%, naging 82,977. The 2022 national local elections, it increased to 32.13% for a total of 109,640,000 voters. As compared to Pasig, ang tinaas lang ng Pasig, ang increase ng Pasig is 3.75, Mandaluyong 1.32%, Quezon City 5.55%, and in Manila 6.37%. Napakalit lang po ng bayan ng lungsod ng San Juan para magkaroon ng increase ng 32%. Doon naman sa 2018 barangay SK elections, ang registered voters po namin ay 75,037. Sa 2023 BSKE elections, it jumped to 106,823, an increase of 42.36% as compared to Pasig 9.95%, Mandaluyong 5.5%, Quezon City 14.91%, and Manila 15.86%. Bakit po ganun? This is I think for me this is highly irregular. The increase of registered voters in San Juan in the national local elections in 2022 and the barangay SK elections 2023 is highly irregular compared to the other LGUs and the national registered voters. What can we do about this, Madam Sponsor?
Yes, thank you very much, Senator and Mr. President. As in the Makati case, the COMELEC decries the fact that despite the very apparent ballooning of the number of voters way past the average, the problem was that no one filed a petition for exclusion of these newly registered or transferred voters. As a result, the COMELEC could not on its own remove them from the lists. That's the problem because there is in fact the case Quintos versus COMELEC, wherein barangay certifications continued to be upheld as primary evidence of residency and of identity. Sana, unang-una, may nag-petition for exclusion katulad nung kaso ng Makati. Pero on its own, ang hinihiling ng COMELEC base sa natuklasan ng kanilang task force, sana wag nang gamitin ang barangay certification as proof of residence. Once and for all, ipagbawal na sana yan. Yan ang hinihiling ng COMELEC at kung maari, magpasa daw ng bagong batas hinggil sa pagbabawal nito.
It is likewise the understanding of the chair that the COMELEC put up a task force precisely to look into this, not only for Makati, but wherever this may have occurred. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's correct. And the task force unanimous recommendation is in fact for barangay certifications no longer to be accepted as proof of residence. Ganito rin, tulad ng sinabi ni Senate President, ang mga pangyayari hindi lamang sa San Juan, sa Makati, kundi sa Cabanatuan, CDO at Tawi-Tawi, among others.
Well, do you think this is highly irregular? Kasi as compared to the other cities here in Metro Manila, San Juan lang, which is second to the smallest city in Metro Manila, ballooned to around 42% as compared to itong mga ibang kalapit bayan.
Tama po. At sang-ayon ang COMELEC sa inyo. Kaya nga lang, wala silang kapangyarihan na magtanggal ng mga botante. Ang maari lang, may mag-file sa korte ng exclusion sa pagtanggal nitong mga ito. Ang recommendation na lamang nila, kung maari, maghahain ng kaso sa DILG laban sa mga punong barangays involved.
Oh, yes.
Na
We'll do
bigay
that.
ng bigay ng iba't ibang mga certification, nakaduda-duda naman. At tulad ng sinabi mo ninyo, sadyang lumolobo ang numero ng botante.
And additionally, they cannot possibly fit in the area, very much like what happened in Makati, where they used, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Senator Binay, a singular and the same address, which would cover several hundreds of people.
Tama po yun. Talagang kababalaghan na nangyari po sa Makati. Nakita natin, binawasan ng 10 malalaking barangay, pero ang laki ng dinagdag sa botante.
You know, if these issues will not be resolved, no other candidates from other parties will never have a chance of being elected as public officials in San Juan. Laging kung sino man ang sabihin ni nung gagong mayor namin doon, yun lang ang boboto nila. Wala nang pagkakataon dahil meron sila 30,000 flying voters. O ito pa,
Mr. President,
I have
perhaps we
here.
can, with the permission.
Oh, don't strike it out.
Mr. President, perhaps we can ask the Secretariat to delete some unparliamentary remarks.
Gago talaga eh. Anyway, Mr. President, I have here a copy of the COC of one candidate for councilor in San Juan. Ang address niya, Unit A and Domingo. Unit A and Domingo. Napakahaba po ng kalye na and Domingo. Walang building, walang
Walang
number.
building, walang numero.
Walang building,
Ay,
walang numero.
masaya siya.
Ano magagawin natin dito?
O, nakatira rin po ako sa San Juan, kahaba-haba ng kalsadang yan.
Hindi taga San Juan ito. Basketball player. Well, I do not have anything against basketball players as long as they are legitimate residents of San Juan. Pinununan ng basketball player yung sangguniang panlunsod sa San Juan. Hindi naman mga taga San Juan. What are we going to do with it? Dapat yung EO ng San Juan, dapat they exercise due diligence. Ba't tatanggapin itong COC na Unit A and Domingo? Anong klase ba naman to?
Ang tama po kayo. Sabi nga ng COMELEC, kung maaari, unang-una, sila na mismo ang maghahain ng kaso laban sa mga punong barangays na kung ano-anong certificate of residence ang ini-issue. Pero sana po, yung mga nag-o-object sa mga numero na nakakasindak, na karagdagang botante, kung maaari, mag-file din ng exclusion suit
Well, I
sa
think
ating...
somebody filed already a disqualification case against this particular candidate. I hope the COMELEC will act upon it immediately para matanggal na sa balota yung pangalan itong kandidatong ito.
The understanding of the commission is that it's not a disqualification of a single candidate that has been filed or has reached them, but rather the annulment of the entire list of voters of the city of San
No,
Juan.
I think they have to check. I think somebody already filed a disqualification case
No, for the candidate,
non-resident.
distinguished sponsor, not the list, for the candidate.
for the candidate itself.
Perhaps they just received the cancellation of the COC.
Yes.
Kaya lang, nag-lapse na yung panahon, di ba? Or okay na? Okay pa?
Okay pa. Dapat
Oh, okay pa raw.
Siguro
Okay pa raw. Pero ang pinakamabilis at kayang-kayang gawin ng COMELEC, syempre itong sa mga kapitan at sa DILG.
yes. Okay, I will adhere to it. But sana ma-action kaagad ng COMELEC itong disqualification case against this particular candidate.
Rest assured, Senator, that the commission will act on the disqualification case very expeditiously.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Estrada. Majority Floor Leader.
President, the minority leader is seeking the floor.
Senator Pimentel is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the permission of our sponsor.
You may proceed, sir.
Well, this will not repeat the earlier interpellation of the Deputy Minority Leader, but just to give the COMELEC some practical feedback. Kasi po kami we deal with being candidates, we deal with the COMELEC. Ngayon, example, 2 beses na po nabanggit yung sa manifestation or intervention po ni Senator Binay, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, exclusion. Sabi, file a petition for exclusion of the voter in court. Pero ang basic document kasi dyan is the voter's registration ng tao. Eh kung ang experience na ba namin, when we ask from COMELEC information about the voter's registration of a person, they cite data privacy and they do not give us the basic document needed for that petition. So, nag-worry lang ako na the law recognizes a citizen's or a constituent's right to file a petition for exclusion, and yet the referee in the election, the Commission on Elections, will not allow the access to that basic document you need.
Well, the commission says that perhaps a delay or an omission occurred, but certainly with a formal request, all said information will be provided by COMELEC.
No, this is a feedback actually. This is feedback based on actual experience. Denied na sa EO level, denied sa regional director, denied sa ED level. So, they have been denying it. So, ang gusto kong sabihin, instead of giving life to the remedy allowed by law, the COMELEC is making it more difficult.
There apparently is a data privacy officer in COMELEC, and the requests for information are filtered by him, at which said information should be provided.
That's why I'm giving you actual experience pa ito, actual recent experience na denied na po from the level of the EU all the way to the ED. So I think there is a precedent being cited the time ni Chairman Brillante. So siguro it's about time that you to revisit it, Mr. Chairman, and the commission itself. Kasi unless disagree kayo sa akin ganito kasi pagkaintindi ko, there's a remedy, di ba? If there is someone that you want to question his or her registration as a voter, there is a remedy. Then you file in court. But what does logic tell us to be the basic document that you need? You need to allege that he registered as a voter. Pero yung mismong papeles na yun, hindi talaga binibigay. So I think COMELEC has to revisit their practice, Mr. President. Yun lang. Yes. Mr.
Yes,
President.
we're all in agreement, and I think unfortunately the memo of then Commissioner Brillantes has been overturned by the data privacy law, so that the issuance of these documents and the rest of the information requested is not so easily availed of.
With the permission of the
Yes.
lady and gentleman who has the floor, Senator Nancy would like to make an interjection.
Thank
You
you.
may proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Siguro, Mr. President, just to cite an example on our part, ang binigay ho sa amin yung address, pero hindi yung pangalan ng voter. So, paano ho tayo magpa-file ng exclusion if you only have the address? Yun lang po,
So,
Mr. President.
and then to add, no, I don't think the Data Privacy Act should be interpreted that way to nullify a remedy provided by law. Do you interpret it that way? You make it harder, or should you make it easier?
Okay, certainly what Senator Binay said, that the names were not provided should not be so. The names should be provided, but the rest of the information is probably harder to come by. The chairman of the commission also says that the voters list is posted. There's a bulletin outside the local COMELEC where all the voters' names should occur. Although online, they are not available.
So the person who wants to file the petition for exclusion will be disallowed from digging further beyond the voters list. If we want to go to the basic document, which is the voters application. That is what is being denied. Yan ang point ko.
The contention of the commission is that the application form contains other information that will then be subject to data privacy and cannot be revealed.
Is that okay, so that is the interpretation of the COMELEC. That's why naka-line up kami mamaya sa Data Privacy Commission eh.
That's right.
We will actually bring this up. How do we settle this issue? We have to settle this issue and then
The understanding kasi is maliban doon sa pangalan nga na nakapost naman sa local COMELEC, para makuha yung application form, kailangan rin ng court order. Yun ang pagkaintindi ng COMELEC. Pero yung pangalan, talagang bibigay.
name and address would be in the voter.
Name and address is
Yes, if the-
should be publicly available.
So the interpretation of the COMELEC of the law, yun ba yun? Is that the interpretation of the COMELEC of the law that a court order is needed to go to that basic document?
Yes.
So we will raise this up with the Data Privacy Commission.
Yes.
National Privacy Commission. Now, the next question is, the COMELEC made a promise to post COCs online. Nagawa po ba ito?
Yes, there are already COCs online, but because of the volume, they are redacted records, not the full. Not the full COC. It also contains information that may be subject to data privacy and cannot be divulged.
Well, hindi siguro kasi nag-file yung tao eh. Oh, I mean, nag-file yung tao, wala naman pumilit sa kanyang mapag-file eh.
At saka 'di ba, meron naman tayong pinipirmahan na wini-waive natin ang data privacy.
Nag-file po yung tao, walang pumilit sa kanya mag-file. So, I think, well, at any rate, alam ko rin, redact yata nila ang pagkaintindi
But
ko.
so far, their capability only allows them to post online the redacted version of the COCs of all the candidates for now.
Yes, at what level? All the way to the councilor?
No, national and local candidates are all online. Their names are all posted.
Alam ko nga na they redacted kunyari the email address, yung mga what are not, yung addition lang, parang addition lang ng COMELEC but not required by law to be stated. So,
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
that's why kung kaya nga yung reduction, nakala ko pwede nilang gamitin din dun sa pag-release ng voters sa application form.
Yung mga botante daw, wala raw waiver. Samantalang tayong mga kandidato, pinipirmahan natin na may waiver ang form mismo.
Okay, pero kahit may waiver, nag-redact pa rin sila. So at any rate, we go back to the basic law siguro on data privacy. Pagdating kasi doon na ano kasi yung claim eh, the voter applying for the person applying for voters registration makes a claim as to the length of the period of time that he has been residing in that place where he wants to. So that claim should be ano that period of time which is claimed by the applicant should be made public, Mr. President. Hindi naman sekreto dapat yun.
May I suggest that the request be coursed through our committee at the Senate for Electoral Reform, and I will make certain that the information is released to our minority leader.
Yun na nga, but you know, there are only 24 senators, so this access will be given to 24 people. How about the rest? Kasi hindi ko ginagamit pagka-senador ko, denied. Denied sa EO, regional, and to the ED level, denied. Denied all the way. So,
The constant invocation po is data privacy.
precisely, we need to review this kasi yun na nga, it might weaken the remedy made available by law. At any rate, Mr. President, Yun lang naman ang desire ko, just to give you actual feedback ng people transacting with your commission. And then mamaya itahi-tahi natin ito with the National Privacy Commission on the interpretation of the law.
Actually, I agree with the chair agrees with the position of Senator Pimentel, but perhaps our remedy may be with the National Data Privacy Commission to clarify this.
Yes, yes.
And not to include this in the purview of the law.
So that would be all. And then we wish COMELEC the best. Malaki yung hiningi nila, ang release mas konti, but I hope nothing significant will be affected. And then marami akong tanong, although natanong ko naman sa committee hearing na. So that saved us time, Mr. President. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minority Leader. Masipag po kayo mag-attend ng ating mga hearing sa subcommittee at maraming salamat din sa ibinahagi ninyong impormasyon tungkol nga sa napakahirap na proseso upang makakuha ng impormasyon mula sa COMELEC hinggil sa ating mga botante.
Thank you for your interjection, our distinguished minority floor leader. Before acting on the budget of COMELEC, Chair would like to announce and to ask that the LBRMO already asked the following agencies to prepare. After COMELEC, we shall take up the credit